I'm Joshua Hanlon here, and today I'm at Atlanta Brick Co. with Mark Erickson, and we're going to be taking a look at the top 10 oldest sets that they have in stock right now at Atlanta Brick Co. So Mark is very knowledgeable about Lego. You might recognize him from his many Beyond the Brick videos over the years, or maybe his appearance on Lego Masters. Either one is fine.
Yeah, just that one little stint, you know? Yeah.
Yes. But he has a lot of knowledge about these sets, so he's going to be taking us through, giving us some kind of history of some of these sets, and then just showing you some really cool, rare old sets here. So what do we have first?
Yes, so it's top 10, but it's kind of like top 11 and a half. You know, I've kind of combined a few. It's kind of by year. So
okay.
We're at like some of the other videos we've done with you. We're going to start with the weakest or the youngest in this case. Well, not the weakest. I think this is an awesome set.
This is a you can't say weak and then show the Knights Challenge.
No, yeah, like if this is the weakest, we're doing pretty good. No, yeah. So these are both from 1988, is what the date on the bottom of the box says, and these are the Legoland. So a lot of the sets that Lego was coming out with were Legoland. It had the minifigure scale, vehicles, buildings. In this case, you have a joust scene. And this is the younger generation of sets for what we're showing today. But these are still pretty old. Yeah. I mean, it's been a while since '88 rolled around, right? So, yeah, and these are actually, honestly, some of my favorites. I think we both have a shared appreciation for history, castle among that, and this is one of the most iconic and beautiful sets that Lego has come out with. It's kind of the golden age for Lego Castle.
Take a moment to appreciate the printing on here, like the decoration on the horses. You've got like the princess back there, the shields. Just so much of this is incredible. I love this.
Exactly, yeah. And these are to find the boxes is pretty rare. And like these, I don't think these are necessarily sealed, but they're still in excellent shape. All the pieces are like mint, and that's what makes these really special because. The box, most people kept the Lego, and sometimes it got thrown away, but not everyone saved the box. They're kind of rare, so it's very cool to see that. I think everything that we're looking at here has its original box, usually instructions and pieces as well. So, but yeah, these are awesome.
Now, when you guys get old sets like this that are 30+ years old in the store, is that typically someone who maybe just happened to save these from their childhood, or someone who collected them as an adult and is just wanting to get rid of them now?
I think it's mostly like it was their childhood toys. What ends up being the most common source for these kind of very hard to find old sets. That being said, sometimes it'd be a collector who's trying to kind of rotate some of the things out and get some new things. So I would say mostly someone is probably the original owner most of the time. So it's very cool to see these. Not every day these come in, but it is more often than like most places. Like you really won't see this in box too often.
Right. So,
pretty special. Yep. But those are the youngest of the sets we're showing here. So that's the first one out. I think the next one's actually to your left there, Josh.
Continuing with one of the great themes.
Exactly. These are a little bit older than the ones we just showed. And this is, I think I want to say, earlier in the 80s. So to be
84.
Yep, 1984, pretty good year. And we got the massive King's Castle here. And this is kind of, I think, another culmination of the sets, because the Joust has the really cool horse armor. This is a little before that, but it still has a huge amount of troops, really classic castle design. It fit within all the other castle sets, so you could combine them into a massive mega castle if you wanted to. So this is kind of the cream of the crop, the top dog.
We should show the flap real quick as well. Yeah. So that's something that a lot of these eras, look at that.
There's all the figures inside there, all the pieces. And it has this beautiful art with the little kid playing. You can see, you can imagine yourself.
That's a little Mark right there.
Exactly, that would have been me back in the day, yeah. So. And you can see all the action scenes. And these were, all Lego sets in the past used to be 3-in-1s. It wasn't just creator 3-in-1. All of them had alternate builds and ideas you could customize your own castles with. So pretty fun.
Yeah, the big flap was always so much fun to look at.
It's pretty dynamic for back then. And then you got another smaller edition, same year, which is why I'm including it. It's almost like a 2-for-1 here. And the blacksmith shop. And this wall section can actually fit in the castle. Like you can attach it to the wall and it becomes part of the larger castle.
Like a modular type of system.
So very fun, very cool. And this actually used to feature some very rare pieces: the black hood, the brown early plastic cape, and the pitchfork. Many of which have now been replicated in newer colors, so they're a little bit easier to find now. But yeah, another couple cool sets. My favorite theme. I don't have this one actually, so I might actually end up buying this if somebody doesn't come along soon and get it. So.
Check out the scenery and art on this. So you had commented how before we started about the great box art. Look at it. It's like a silhouetted like sunset shot there. I mean, look at how much art went into just the box design on
this. This is a small. It was probably a $5 to $6 set back then, and it has this nice cool art on the back, really highlighting. This is a cool set. Buy it, kid. Yeah, so yeah, it's awesome. Yep, and then these two, at the time of filming this, these two are for sale on the website. So you can, if you really want to collect some cool classic house sets, you could buy these. But they might be sold at the time this video is airing. So just check the website atlbrick.com. We got a whole bunch of awesome stuff.
There's always new stuff coming in though, so if these aren't available, there'll be other really neat old sets as well.
There'll be something castle on there for sure, and something old for sure. So yeah, those two, putting them down there. 84.
Starting off great with the castle sets. I like the way you think here, Mark.
And so I think this is late 70s is what our next things here. Actually, this one might be 80 something as well. What's the date on this one?
82.
82. So a few years before those castle sets we were looking at was the end of the classic space line. It had the original classic space minifigure, slightly modified, thicker chin, a few differences from the original 70s, which we have to my right. But they were using some more blue and white in the spaceships. Keeping the classic look, but kind of diversifying a little bit. So, but yeah, another very special set. And this was also very cool in the box art. They were really trying to capture that sci-fi imagination back in the 80s. And earlier than that, they had all the Apollo missions. So there was very inspirational little kids thinking about future space exploration.
And what you were just talking about with it being 3 in 1. So there's the 1, 2, 3 on the back. There are variations on the build and showing what you can do with it. And then I know one thing that's interesting with these, obviously, a lot of these used, I think these printed parts tend to rub off and I think tend to be worn pretty quickly.
Exactly, yeah. The classic space torso is notorious for just the gold disappearing somehow, a little bit of rubbing and it just disappears. So it's cool to see not only the box intact, but also I'm guessing the pieces are in there and they've got to be in good shape if we're selling it online. So just like this one.
There you go.
And that was 82. I think this one will be a 78. So we're getting all the way back into the 70s now. This is 78 or 79, depending on when it was released. I think in Europe it was 78, and in the United States it was 79, but I'm not sure.
The dates get a little iffy there because of the different markets.
Exactly. They probably were sold for a couple years after that as well. So, but yeah, this one is one of the first classic space sets. And it features a lot of rockets about to be launched at either other space entities or I'm not sure what. Maybe they're for research. We'll say they're for research.
We'll go with that.
Yeah, but the early space, the blue, you got the yellow, trans yellow pieces, which are very rare and expensive.
Moon base plate, so it's got kind of like the rocks in it there.
Those are so iconic. I love those. They're pretty hard to find, so it's cool to see it here. And it's got a lot of nice box art on the back. A lot of great history with these. You see builders nowadays kind of capture this style with either the old figures or even the new versions of these figures and build massive scenes. Because a lot of, this is the beginning of many AFOL's Lego journey, you know? So they started with these and they've just been fans their whole lives. So it's really cool to kind of see where it started for a huge chunk of the fan base. So
I love this shot looking down from the top of the rocket there, like a forced perspective almost type of idea.
Exactly. Yeah, they were pretty dynamic with their art department back then. Yeah, they had it going on. This is like 79, so they would have been, this is all done by hand. They didn't have computers or renders or anything like that, so it's pretty awesome.
One thing I noticed on these boxes, they have a spot for the price on them, so that's something kind of different from, from modern boxes. You can see, and usually there's a spot, like on this one here, it looks like there was like a price tag there at one point.
Yeah, a little bit of tape to patch it up because these are now very old, and just having the cardboard last this long is pretty...
Does this have a...
It does.
Oh, look at that yellow like plastic.
Exactly. The inner plastic, it's got the base plate and the figures. I believe this one's still incomplete, so that's why it's not for sale on the website right now. But there's a few pieces that we need to gather up to make this one 100%. So, yeah. And look at that, another art piece showing a little kid building their rocket launching base. So, and it also has... Whenever the flap has this backstory, it's pretty fun. So.
An interesting fact with those kids, sometimes they would be like the kids and relatives of people at Lego, like the owners of Lego, some of like grandkids and kids of the founders and stuff, so that it was family related on the packaging.
Exactly. It's like, hey, Jerry, you got a son. Let's bring him in. Let's take a picture. So, that's perfect. Yeah, and so that we're diving right through these. This is 79, but some of the next ones we've got are even older than this here. This is the weird era of Lego, which I didn't really even know about until not too long ago. You've got the mid-70s. These are going to be 76, and I believe this is 75 or 76 as well. No date on that one, but I think that one's 75.
Similar type of figures in it, yeah.
And these would have been proto-minifigures. So this is before, oh, there's the instructions and pieces falling out. Yep. Actually, you can see.
Yeah, you could maybe take one out and talk about with the minifigure.
So here's part of them right here, and you can see the giant head, the very flexible arms, and the posable hand right there. This one's a little bit beat up because it's original 70s, and this set is not complete, so it's not for sale. We'll have to get the rest of the figures and pieces to complete this set. But they're massive, and they're funky looking. Like when you see Lego minifigures your whole life, this looks alien in comparison. But this was their solution to having characters in the set and not just bricks, because I think they were trying to get a little bit more personal with the pieces. This would have been a few years before. 78 was the first year that Lego minifigures were released. And those were designed and created for sets. So very interesting, very unusual. And there was a bunch of these. They had whole lines of these larger doll-like minifigures. So a little bit larger scale.
Got some clear 2x4s here.
Pretty rare pieces in there too.
The classic tree.
Yep.
This is what you had for trees for a long time.
Yep, and the plastic composition of these older sets going back from the 80s and past is actually a lot harder and denser than modern Lego bricks. So it's very interesting. So
yeah.
Yep, and these were some of the earliest sets that were released by the Lego group, I believe, because they would have started in the hundreds and they would have gone up in set number from there. But because the next few sets that we're bringing out are very high, low set number and very, very old and very special. So we'll bring these out here. So you got set number 120, and this would have been the, let's see, building toy. Where's the set title? It might not even have a set title. I think it's the basic set.
Called building toy.
Yeah, so Lego building toy. Now, the interesting thing about these, I have another one over here. This would be set number 5. These would have been in a partnership with the Samsonite group or Samsonite Corporation.
Yeah, it says down, it's pretty small print, but you can see it says Samsonite down there.
And these would have been made from 1965 until about the early 70s. They were making these. I think it was 72. And the reason being is because Billund was still kind of getting its footing in Europe, selling HO scale vehicles and other sets with these bricks. And they wanted to kind of partner with someone in the United States to produce and then sell them in the United States for them. So these Samsonite was based in Colorado, and they sold them for a couple years. They ended up separating based on licensing agreements. But yeah, for quite a while, Lego was only available through in the United States and Canada through Samsonite. So
yeah, I was just gonna say, so Samsonite was just the U.S. and Canada then. So if you were in Europe or something, it was not being done by Samsonite. It was
directly from Lego, and slightly different too. So pretty interesting. And they didn't have the reason Lego in the 70s, which the sets we just looked at, started in the mid-hundreds, is because first of all, there were sets getting into the hundreds in the Samsonite line. And secondly, they wanted to make sure that they seemed like they had a larger catalog. So they're starting at the 300s and the 200s versus like set number 5. You know, they don't want to seem like a branded company. They want to seem established once Lego got separated with Samsonite and started producing their own sets like the castle and other stuff. So
it's a little marketing 101 tip there for everyone.
Exactly. These boxes are a little beat up, but it's pretty cool because these are like from the 60s. These are older than my dad, and they're pretty awesome. So they have a lot of gears, a lot of very engineering based. They had no minifigures. Those would come a little bit later, like the ones we showed. And it's very interesting to see that really old school, very primary colors, blacks and whites, and so it's really a neat box style. In fact, I've designed websites based on this color scheme because it looks so cool. It's just very neat.
For people who have watched our Great Ball Contraption videos, you've heard the name Samsonite in some of them because the GBC builders will use these Samsonite gears, these really old gears, in some modules for their GBC builds. And so occasionally you'll run into these kind of out in the wild at a convention, people still using this stuff.
Yeah, they're actually, the pieces within these boxes are not expensive. I mean, you can still find these gears for a couple dollars a piece on Bricklink and other places. So, I mean, it's like nothing amazingly rare in these, except for the fact that they're so old and these boxes still contain the original core essence of these pieces. It's pretty awesome. So, and then we still have 2 more that are even earlier than these. We unfortunately don't have any of the original European HO scale vehicles, but we do have set number 1 gears. And set number 2, the Motor Pack PAK. I don't know, maybe they're trying to be stylish with the lettering there.
Yeah, they were real hip.
Exactly, that was pretty groovy back in the 60s. But yeah, 2 Samsonite sets. These are the first that they would have released, and they would have released those probably in the same time period. So set number 1 gears.
So did you have an exact year on this one?
This would be 1965, was the year that this started being released. Probably released for a couple years after as well. I'm not sure their exact release and sale schedule. It was probably not too dissimilar from even nowadays. But yeah, very special, very cool. And then, interesting fact, I was looking at the brick set information for these sets, and the price for this would have been anywhere from $4.95 to $4.49. You can even see a little bit of the faded printing there, where somebody just stamped on a price to sell it in the store. And then, so a larger set with a couple pieces in here. That was probably expensive for back in 1965. Now you think, oh, Lego sets are hundreds of dollars. So it's very interesting to see how times have changed and prices for things have evolved.
Can we take a look inside?
We can.
Okay.
This is fairly incomplete. It's got most of the gears. Some of them are probably in a little rough shape, but you still have the original inset and stuff like that too. This is not for sale because we don't have all the pieces for it.
Look, I love, so they connect the gears up in the packaging.
You probably could have spun them and turned them a little bit too. I'm seeing that one. Oh yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
You can maybe a little more torque on there. You could get them to move, but yeah. And then yeah, like I was saying before, the pieces, even these gear pieces, the large ones are probably a little hard to find, but the medium-sized ones are still, you can still find them and get a little souvenir of some of Lego's earliest products available in the United States. So it's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Perfect. This is crazy stuff to just see this here. And usually it's something you'd only be able to see if you went to like the archive in Billund or something like that. So it's so cool that you have this in the store.
What's interesting to note is it says Lego supplements are the easy way to make your Lego collection grow. It's like, so this first set would have been a supplementary set for your Legos. I'm trying to figure out how that works, but I guess they would have released discovery sets and basic sets along with it that you could buy and apply the gears to. I'm guessing that's the case.
There's lots of this like phrases and just kind of fonts and things here on the sides, kind of advertising it.
They've got printing along the sides, just describing it. Very old retro font. It's very cool. Yeah, so very exciting to see. And then this motor pack, I'm not even sure. It may or may not work. This is actually from that Florida collection that we purchased not too long ago, so that's pretty exciting to see. And it's got the original batteries, the original box, and I'm not sure if it works. We'd have to test it. All of our electronics at Atlanta Brick Co. we test and make sure they at least function at that point before we try and sell them. So we'll have to do some more research.
It's got like a clear case to it, so you can kind of see the inside of it almost. So it's almost along the lines of an education type product from that perspective.
Exactly. I think they were really focusing on that kind of engineering STEM background even early on like that. So it's pretty exciting. So, yep. But that's all we've got for the history style sets today. We went through the years of 1988, I believe, all the way to 1965, with just a couple sets. I want to say about 12 sets.
Has anyone ever brought in any of the original wooden toys to the store?
I've never seen those arrive. I think people that wouldn't even realize they're Lego.
They
wouldn't. You'd have to have a real expert know that, and then they probably wouldn't even want to sell it if they had one because they're so cool. We have seen a few of the HO scale vehicles and the vehicle cases come in, and I think those have sold already, so we don't have any on hand.
Okay.
But yeah, so then those are like, probably 50s, late 50s. And 60s as well. So those would have been the European version. Pretty hard to find over here in the United States. So just some of the things that kind of walk in the door every now and then. You're like, wait a minute, that one's really old. So pretty exciting.
Someday somebody's going to walk in pulling their wooden duck behind them.
Yeah, and I'm just going to faint. Yeah. Exactly, yeah. So some of these are available online, like they had the price tags and we were talking about the website. Some of these, because they're not 100% complete and we haven't just gone around to getting the pieces for them, they're not available yet. But we're always putting new stuff on our website. You'll see amazing old sets like that, so definitely worth checking out.
And you can call the store as well, too. So if you're looking for maybe one very specific set or something, wondering if you have something in stock, you can call before you make the trip out here.
Yeah, if it's not on the website, feel free to call, and it may actually be either in the process of being ready to be on the website, or it might be in the back. Just give us a call.
There's a lot in the back here to look at.
Oh, yeah. There's so much extra storage space. I mean, in some of the older videos, you can see the basement and the back, and so it's pretty exciting stuff. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Mark. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I hope you enjoyed this kind of trip down memory lane at some of these very old and rare sets that you can only really see in person if you come to some place like Atlanta Brick Co. So make sure to come and check this stuff out.